let's go over to Biden and let's talk about it for a minute. So Biden recently made an appearance on none other than The View. Now, I am not a fan of The View. I have not been reviewing The View. And so him and his wife pulled up on The View in order to talk about Kamala Harris. His wife was talking about whether or not Biden actually was functional enough to be able to run in the White House, or if he was just being controlled, what was happening. And so I'm going to share a little bit of that with you guys, and let's have a conversation.
Before the release of a book that I and reporter Alex Thompson wrote about the cover-up of President Biden's cognitive decline. The Bidens are back. They gave their first joint TV interview since leaving the White House. And former President Biden had some harsh criticism for his successor, President Trump, calling President Trump's return to power, quote, the worst 100 days any president's ever had. But Biden also took responsibility for the role he played in returning Trump to the White House to a degree. CNN's Arlette Saenz has this look at the Biden's return to public view.
Former President Joe Biden back in the spotlight and denying claims of cognitive decline while serving in the nation's highest office.
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that.
The 82-year-old former president sitting with the host of The View for the entire hour, defending his time in the White House and handling of the 2024 election.
The only reason I got out of the race was because I didn't want to have a divided Democratic Party.
But it was his wife, former First Lady Jill Biden, who offered the most forceful pushback and denied shielding her husband from public view.
I did not create a cocoon around him. I mean, you saw him in the Oval Office. You saw him making speeches. He wasn't hiding somewhere.
Biden's round of interviews this week comes ahead of the release of several books expected to examine Biden's mental acuity and his decision to seek re-election.
Everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, $118 for car insurance. That's how much I was paying, okay? I picked up the car a few months ago and watch this. Ready? $97 premium. $20 were my fees.
Are they really showing an ad right now?
Now
That's not cool.
His disastrous performance against Donald Trump in a CNN debate set off a wave of panic among Democrats, with prominent party leaders privately and publicly urging him to drop out of the 2024 race.
The Democratic Party at large didn't buy into it, but the Democratic leadership and some of the very significant contributors did.
Polling before and after the debate showed a majority of voters, including many Democrats, had doubts about his ability to serve another term, not just defeat Trump. And almost 4 weeks later, Biden ended his campaign.
Should you have withdrawn earlier, given someone else a bigger chance?
I don't think it would have mattered.
The move left his vice president, Kamala Harris, with less than 4 months to wage a campaign, a fact Biden got wrong today.
There were still 6 full months.
Biden says he's not surprised Harris didn't win, blaming her loss on sexism.
I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country and a woman of mixed race.
But Biden...
It's so funny that he says that because, and I was saying this yesterday, that how is it that we then say that the right are the ones that was creating this narrative that says that a woman shouldn't be president of the United States of America? That has never been the case. As a matter of fact, that's one of the few things that Trump didn't say, because you know Trump has no problem with saying that's on when it's on his mind and to say, hey, listen, I don't agree with this, or women is this, or this is that, or whatever. Trump made a concerted effort to never attack her gender as a part of the race. Trump made it a point. Is no way in the world he did not at all ever mention gender as a factor for whether or not she should be president of the United States of America. He said that she was incompetent. He said that she was crazy. He said that she didn't know what she was saying, but absolutely no way in the world did Trump ever attack in any way, shape, or form the gender part. Now, I said it because that's what I truly believed. And I said, listen, I don't think that a woman should be president of the United States of America. But if I have to pick a woman to be president, it certainly wouldn't be Kamala Harris at all. Now, here's the thing that I did see in the election, and everybody's seen it. The people that made it about gender was the left. The people that made it about gender was not the right, it was the left. That's a fact. All I seen was women. As a matter of fact, Michelle Obama was the first one that I really seen publicly say it. And she was saying on the campaign trail, go against your husbands. Do not listen to them. When you get in that booth, you're in the booth by yourself. Make sure you vote for Kamala Harris. Don't worry about what men are saying. Kamala Harris, vote for her. That's what Michelle Obama did. And then Barack Obama came and backed it up with his stupid behind. And he was the second person that really made a big deal about it and bring it to the forefront. And he was like, I can't believe men wouldn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman. We need to get over it and all of this other stuff. That was exactly what happened. It was Biden stepping down at the time that he stepped down so that he can give her an excuse to making it, to act like she lost because it was a time thing, and it wasn't. She didn't lose because it was a time thing. We knew who Kamala Harris was. We knew what her record was. She had 1 million interviews, had nothing to do with that. Nothing whatsoever. And then Barack Obama came in with his big head, and he came in through the trying to lecture people, talking about he didn't even believe it. It later came out that he didn't even believe that she was the best candidate for the job. And he was trying to hold off to try to have some form of a, some kind of a runoff and a Democratic National Convention to determine whether or not there would be a better candidate for president of the United States of America, because he didn't even believe in her. And then he came in and telling black men, talking about we needed to vote for her and we need to stop being so misogynistic, because he knows, as though he connected, like he out here in these streets, like he really in Chicago. He knows that Kamala Harris is like, man, get the hell out of here, bro. So it was the left. They were the ones that made the big stink about her being a woman. We all knew that she was incompetent. It wasn't because she was a woman. She was just incompetent in general. And we also seen that they all gave and threw a whole bunch of support behind her as far as being a part of the Divine Nine. Shout out to all of the sororities. And then they made it about black and white. Y'all used every single diversity, equity, and inclusion talking point to try to get Kamala Harris elected to be president of the United States of America. And none of it worked. We seen through that nonsense. We seen through the BS. And we was like, no, we're not going. She's stupid. I even seen people say that they would have voted for Tulsi Gabbard before they voted for Kamala Harris, because she the one that ended Kamala's career the first time. It's just the truth, bro.
And now acknowledging his own role in Trump's return to the White House.
Do you take any responsibility for Trump's reelection?
Yes, I do, because look, I was in charge and he won. So, I take responsibility.
Now, former President Biden has really laid low since leaving the White House, but we've slowly started to see him speak out, including criticizing his successor, President Donald Trump. One thing that is occupying a lot of Biden's time right now, he said in that interview on The View that he is working on his memoir, something he's been asked to deliver in the coming year. But it all does come at a time when there is a lot of discussion within the Democratic Party about how involved Biden should stay, especially as they are trying to rebuild and look ahead to the next crop of leaders that could lead the party. Jake.
I know about it.
Thanks so much. Let's bring in somebody who was there at the table for President Biden's interview on The View, CNN political commentator and View co-host Alyssa Farah-Griffin. Alyssa, congratulations on the interview. You asked President Biden a number of tough questions, and I want to talk about those in more detail. But first, what was your general impression of President Biden, what you heard from him, how he spoke, et cetera?
And this woman right here that we speaking to, she a fake Republican. She tried to straddle the fence. She the Charlemagne. She the Stephen A. Smith of The View. She straddled the fence all the time. She tried to act like she a Republican, like she's going to be the voice of reason and all of that stuff. No, she a fake Republican. She been going against Trump for years, and she been talking shit a lot. And so now she want to try to act like, oh no, I'm really conservative and I actually stand for it. Let me tell you what, objectively, no, you're a Republican in name only. You're a rhino.
Listen, this is the second time I've interviewed President Biden now. And the one thing that really struck me from the moment he got to the table was he and his team are clearly very aware that his legacy is being written right now. And they feel and have this strong sense that they need to fight back and shape the narrative. He immediately got into rattling off accomplishments from his term in office. And I think it's in breaking with a lot of past precedent from other presidents who generally let their legacy breathe and kind of go off into the sunset and let someone else come into their role. So there's a very keen sense that if they don't get out there, someone else is going to write their story for them. And Jake, I have to say, like, I directly asked them about books coming out, thinking of your book that's coming out. I think this is something his team is thinking about and concerned about, and they want to be able to shape as much of a narrative in advance to get ahead of stories that you may be breaking in it.
Yeah, the book Original Sin comes out May 20th, so that's 12 days, I guess. Let's play part of that exchange.
This is what Ivy League
Okay.
universities you can get into.
All right, we're not rocking with that. I don't know how this too much going on.
1 week and
Consistent campaign.
thanks so much. Let's bring in somebody, I guess. Let's play part of that exchange.
What is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that. Number one, one of the things that
Look up, Biden.
Well, I'm
Well, and Alyssa, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those
Why is she speaking for him? Why did he turn to the wife so that she could start speaking for him?
one of the things that well, I'm
Well, and Alyssa, one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us.
So interesting observation, as if historians have to live in the White House in order to write about the White House, about any sort of
and
presidency.
Alex Thompson covered the White House.
Yeah. Alex covered it quite extensively.
That moment, I think it jumped out to me. Having worked in the first Trump administration. It's not just the people that absolute closest to the president, by the way, like a spouse that has an idea of what their general mental health is like every day, their ability to do the job, if they're stumbling in meetings.
Andy.
There's quite a few aides, if given access, who should have access to those things. And part of the question I asked and another colleague did is, was there an effort to kind of keep a tight-knit circle so any of these slip-ups wouldn't get out to the public? And my general sense is this: listen, he is an older man. He acknowledged, look, I would have been 86 had I won a second term. He doesn't shy away from that. He does have slip-ups. That's something we've seen with Joe Biden. But I think this was very much an effort to signal I was fully in control when I was in office. And he kept pointing to, I wouldn't have been able to pass these many things he's proud of if that weren't the case.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just completely compromised. I don't believe that Joe Biden at any point was really in control of what was happening inside of the White House.